On this week's episode, the pandemic hasn't stopped sale-seeking shoppers, the record amount Americans spent over the weekend. Also, Netflix's newest streaming hit show is about a game most people don't even know how to play. And we play a new game, Florida or Russia, headlines that only make sense in these two areas. Thanks for joining us this week for another edition of Anchors Away. I'm Sarah Threadgill, along with Robert Burns, former TV news anchors, now giving you the news to know and to get you through the weekend. Subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts. Welcome back from Thanksgiving vacation, Robert.
Yes, welcome back. Are your pants a little tighter like the rest of ours are?
Of course, I know. We've been trying to eat good all week. It's just so hard with the leftovers.
So much turkey. We went over to my aunt and uncle's place, and they got catered one big, 20-something pound bird, and felt like that wasn't enough. So they went and bought and cooked another 11-pound one. So
Wow.
They have turkey to eat for weeks. Meanwhile, I ended up throwing out the last turkey leg this morning. I think it was time to go.
Yeah, I can only do so much. So I think 3 nights later, we had to order Tex-Mex. It was just, we needed a break. And,
Getting back on Texas food schedule, ordering some Tex-Mex?
Gotta have some Tex-Mex in there. I can only go like 2 or 3 days without it.
So we took the week off, obviously, for the holiday, but a lot has happened since. So we're going to try and catch everybody up this week with as many headlines and news notes as we can in about a 30-minute schedule, and hopefully this gives you all a little bit more to get you through those conversations, whether you're going back to work or chit-chatting with the family or want to escape the family or shopping or all that stuff. So shall we begin?
Let's go.
Okay, let's start off.
Let's go. So Black Friday, did you do any shopping on Black Friday?
I spent so much money this year, mainly because we bought a house, moving into the house, so buying all the little things that I wanted to, and because my job in the house is to make sure all the technology is taken care of, make sure the Wi-Fi works, I got a little happy, not gonna lie, with buying some of the fun things to make my house, like the Jetsons. So most of my Black Friday shopping was for me, because I don't have any kids. Meanwhile, I would imagine the opposite is true for you.
Yes. And, we didn't really go anywhere to do Black Friday shopping. We just jumped online, and I would say we got about 60 to 70% of our Christmas shopping done for the boys. So it was nice. I will tell you, I would love to support small businesses, like Small Business Saturday. So trying to find local, especially local small businesses to support. But man, Amazon just makes it so easy. Target, Walmart, they had some great sales. We
Even
weren't
the
the only ones,
websites
Robert,
themselves.
that were out shopping.
No, we were obviously probably part of the majority of people, because check this out there. You know what? Let's do this right. I forgot to play this. There we go. Now you know it's a real news story. So we weren't the only ones out there shopping. Apparently most Americans were, because online shopping on Black Friday alone hit a new sales record. So just because it's the pandemic doesn't mean people are sitting there hoarding onto their money. We may lie and say, oh, I'm broke, I don't have any money, I need another stimulus check. But we're spending whatever the heck we got anyway. Adobe Analytics, their new study came out, says that Americans spent more than $9 billion on retail websites. That is 22% more than they did last year, mainly because, like you said, people were shopping from home. We had time to do our research and know what we were going to buy this year because of COVID-19. We've been in the house for months. We've been stalking out these sales. They've been doing the Black Friday sales, I think, for like the whole month, as a matter of fact. So Black Friday alone set the sales records, especially online. Traffic to physical stores, Sarah, that was cut in half from the average Black Friday. Because
Do you remember all those stories when you were reporting having to go out on Black Friday at 3 in the morning and interview people waiting in line to get into the stores?
the one they always sent us to was Best Buy. This was years
Yeah.
ago. Obviously, it was 8 years ago, or 10 years ago. And I remember distinctly being out there in front of a Best Buy talking to the first, second, and third people in line. Didn't care if you were fourth and beyond. Good for you. But first, second, and third were the only ones I wanted to know. You found out what time you got there, how long you've been waiting, and what you shopping for. Give me a soundbite I can use. That was Black Friday in the news world.
It was always an epic event. I remember one night one Black Friday, I actually anchored the 10 p.m. show and had to be back out at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So didn't even go to sleep, just stayed awake for a good 2 days
You
trying to get all of it
poor,
done.
poor unfortunate soul. At that time, Cyber Monday probably wasn't as big as it was this year because Cyber Monday set another record as well. Like I said, we're
Well,
spending money as Americans. This was the biggest online shopping day in U.S. history. The history of online, which goes back to what, the 90s? Americans spent $10.8 billion this year on Cyber Monday sales, and that beats last year's total, which was the previous record, by 15%. People not only, getting things on their computers, though, where do you spend most of your money? On their phone, of course. Smartphones and social media shopping was one of the larger areas that people bought their products. I will openly say I have never bought anything on Instagram or Facebook.
I have. It's almost too easy in a sense, especially Instagram with all the influencers out there who, promote some of these products and clothes and things for kids, and it just makes it so easy. I'll tell you though, apps too on the phones. I mean, I have the Nordstrom Rack app, and it's just I check it every day. What did they get new in the store today? Let me check it out.
That's how they get
So
you.
I've actually had to rein in my Nordstrom Rack shopping on my app.
I'm not actually that, so that particular store doesn't surprise me because people who are listening to this, because we don't really put these videos on there, but Sarah is doing today's show in a polo hat. Like, we got the brand Polo, which Nordstrom Rack and Polo, I think they have their own section in the corner, don't they?
You know what? I think this was a Marshall's buy, but yes,
That's a good
yes,
buy.
and that's another thing I miss so badly going in and just browsing Nordstrom Rack and Marshalls and doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, the next best thing I guess is to jump on the app or jump on
Mm-hmm.
the website and browse.
I
I'm
can't do
not
it.
surprised that I'm not surprised at all that we beat records this year. I think it's great. Americans, though, that are spending money because that's part of recovery from all this is pumping money back into the economy.
Yeah, but I think, and I'm going to take a little bit of the opposite side here. I think it's a little obnoxious that, like you said, I had so many emails coming into me from places I either have an online account with or have just looked at as a website. I got so many darn emails saying, "Hey, here's a product that we have. It's on sale, 30% off." I bought this thing. I bought one thing from you guys 4 years ago. I don't need an email from. I don't need 25 spam emails coming in trying to get my money. I know what I'm going to buy. I'm a guy. We know what we're going to get. We get in the store, we go right to it, and we get the hell out.
It's for the ladies, I tell you. So, there was a meme that was posted, a lady talking about buying a bathing suit. Does she need a bathing suit? Does she ever leave the house? Does she go anywhere? But the
She lives
fact
in
was, it
Minnesota.
was being promoted as half off. So why not? It's half off. And I have caught myself buying things just because I think, well, I'll dress up when get out of the house when pandemic's over. So I need that. I need that right now. So, it's definitely strategic marketing on their side.
I mean, it's absolutely smart. But again, back to the point of this, Americans between Black Friday and Cyber Monday spending almost $20 billion online, a good chunk of that on their smartphone. So I was not on my smartphone, but I did most of it online.
And, all of this because of the pandemic. And did you know that is been nominated by Merriam-Webster and dictionary.com to be the 2020 word of the year?
Yeah,
Pandemic.
I'm not. I would say I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time. I mean, what else was it going to be? Is it going to be
COVID. That my
aardvark?
only other thought would be COVID or dumpster fire.
Dumpster
Some
fire.
people
Yeah,
call
if
it.
if we're able to do that, I think that would have been one of my nominated choices. I don't even know how you vote for the word of the year or who has a vote is like the Hall of Fame, if journalists do it or if they just have really good spelling test winners out there. But that's probably going to be on your kid's spelling test now going forward, pandemic, because it's a word of the dictionary, and it's Merriam-Webster. It's dictionary.com. So a little bit of fact on this. On the day that COVID-19, that the whole pandemic was declared, you remember it was like back in February, March, depending on where you lived. Merriam-Webster says that it saw a 115,000% increase in searches for that word. Nobody knew what it was, what it meant, what it was going to mean, or how it was going to literally change everything. As annoying as it's been, it has changed everything.
Yeah, and I think, we'll look back in history 10, 20, 50 years from now and, think about 2020 as the pandemic. It's going to define this era in our lives. And, whether you're 80 years old or you're like my sons, 4 and 6, I think pandemic is going to be something that you'll never forget at this point.
Yeah, and in the news cycle, that's literally all it was. When it started out, it was pandemic, how is this going to affect us? Election. Pandemic, election. Pandemic, Black Friday shopping, and now back to it. So it's something we're never going to escape. Remember when we were kids and you look back and try to think back for a second, Sarah. Think back to like the history book. What were some of the chapters in there? It was the Roaring '20s. It was the Great Depression. It was, settling wherever, you were or some of your regional history. Well, now they're going to have the Great Recession, and we're going to have pandemic. Those are the two probably most recent things that are going to be chapters in your kids' history books, or maybe in mine because yours are already started.
Exactly. I know it's something trying to explain, especially to kids, when this first came out, trying to explain to them on a level that they would understand that wasn't terrifying, was
Or
tricky
adults.
as a parent. I mean, how terrifying you're 6 years old, 5 years old. My son couldn't even finish kindergarten, never got to do kindergarten graduation because of this pandemic. So, hearing him say it now, he's gotten used to it and it's just something that we're living through. And in fact, my 4-year-old asked me today, Mom, is the virus gone? No,
That's
son,
cute.
sorry, it's not. It's going to definitely define this moment in history for us.
Yeah, so I mentioned how none of us know how the word is nominated or how it is picked upon or decided, but I can tell you that there were a few others that made it into the top 10, and no surprise, in that timeline of 2020 I gave you a minute ago, defund was one of the top ones, coronavirus, quarantine, and asymptomatic. So people were jumping on the bandwagon for politics and then trying to figure out what a pandemic was. So that is why 2020 is the year and the word of the pandemic.
And also switching over to year of epic things, Netflix has a new show. I don't know if you've seen it. It is incredible. We enjoyed it. We really, it was 7 episodes, just went by so fast. It's called The Queen's Gambit. It's a breakout hit from Netflix. It is their most watched limited series yet to be on Netflix. And it's all about a sport, a game that people really don't know much about, chess.
I know nothing about. I know some of the pieces. I know pawn, queen, bishop, king, and I think that's it, right? Rook.
I think there's
Rook.
I think there's more, but
If
it's
it were wizard's chess, I'd be better off, like in Harry Potter. I would know more of those pieces, but I don't know anything about chess. Checkers, I got you all day long. King me, double king me. I will cross 3-4 jump you, but chess, I have no idea. My brain can't handle it.
No, and there's this whole world in chess, with major competitions. And this particular show takes place back in the '60s, and the main character is a female, and she's basically a prodigy at chess. And so it follows her life and how she gets through, I guess, the male aspect, the male-driven chess world. She's also an orphan, so they touch on that as well. But 62 million households watched this in the first 4 weeks of its release. I know we probably finished it in 3 days, which is not
Well, you
which
got
is not
time.
super fast. But when you have kids that don't go to bed like they should, then you
You're stuck.
can't get the TV on. But we really enjoyed it. So I definitely suggest Robert maybe checking it out. I learned more about chess than ever. And now I kind of want to take a class or something. I want to learn more about it. I want to play chess.
That was going to be my next question for you is after watching a show like that you know nothing about going into, do you even learn something about the game? Do you want to learn something about the game? Are you in it for the pure drama of the show? I have a general curiosity about that because as much as your high recommendation comes, when people recommend shows to me, it makes me not want to watch them even more because I'm like, I'm not going to watch that show. Come on, I'm on the Cleveland show. Those are what I like to watch. Watching the Queen's Gambit, probably not on my list. But did you actually learn something? Like if you walked into a chess competition, could you hold your own in a conversation right now?
No, not at all. I'm still so very
Could
confused
you
that,
BS your way through a
watching
conversation?
watching the show, you're actually watching them play games. And I mean, there's dozens of games that are being played throughout the show. So you're getting to watch, but I still have absolutely no clue, what a bishop does or what the rules are. I know that there's a clock, and as soon as you make your move, you press the clock. There's definitely some rules. This is a game that's gone, back in history for a long, long time and has been popular throughout history. I almost feel stupid that I don't know more about it.
This reminds me, and it has no relation to it, but it reminds me of there was an old 80s movie from Sylvester Stallone that came out, and he was a truck driver who was also, I think he was a competitive arm wrestler. And nobody knew anything about arm wrestling, and nobody cared, but it was called Over the Top, by the way. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch. Even if you don't and you're like me and somebody tells you to watch it, you're like, screw you, I'm not watching it. It was called Over the Top because in arm wrestling, and I learned this from the movie, you go over the top with your hand when you slam him down, and that is how he would win. And it was so 80s, it was so literally over the top. But it reminds me of when that came out. Nobody cared about arm wrestling. Nobody knew there were rules to arm wrestling, but I'm sure at the time people became aficionados of arm wrestling or whatever you want to call it. It was 1987, so people were just kind of picking it up. I feel like this is kind of that same trajectory where you watch the show and you're like, oh, I'm going to pick that up. I will never, after 2 months of picking it up, use that skill again.
Probably not. I'll probably never learn how to play chess. But, speaking of arm wrestling, there is a restaurant in South Austin that we used to go to before, pre-pandemic, and they had a great patio, and we were out there one time, and they had an arm wrestling club that meets there on the weekends, and they have their own arm wrestling table, and there's about 10, 20 guys,
Mm-hmm.
all muscled up, all different sizes, and they
Mm-hmm.
sit there and arm wrestle each other, slamming back beers and watching football. So it's maybe we'll see people bringing out their chess tables in the future, and maybe this will become a thing.
Oh, you're gonna see people come out of nowhere and say, "Oh, I've been playing chess, or I know all this about you." They're gonna pop out of the woodworks with all this knowledge that they've kept to themselves because chess, for the most part, historically, has been a quiet, has been a quiet game. It's not a sport.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
not a sport.
Well,
It's a game.
Netflix put it back on the map.
It sure did. And so I'm going to go watch Over the Top. You're going to go watch more chess. And we will not meet in the middle. That's how our tastes go. But I also feel like when you said pre-pandemic, we need to now say pre-word of the year.
Pre-word of the year,
just to give it
exactly.
its due. Pre-word of the year. All right, we do want to thank our sponsor for the show, Anchor. It's the easiest way for us to bring you the podcast. They give us everything we need, it's all in one place, and most importantly, it's all free. Everything on our iPhones, on our iPads, on our computers, all the creation tools to edit, it's all included, and they distribute the show for us. Send it to Spotify, send it to Apple, send it to Google. So, you can start your own podcast, get in on the game, download the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Pre-word of the year. You know what's another word that could possibly have been a word of the year? Monolith. What was a monolith before last week, right? What is that? All of a sudden, everybody's talking about this monolith in Utah. It's there, it's discovered, it's shiny, it's unknown. How did it get there? And then as soon as it's discovered, it's gone. Is it aliens? Is it
I first off, I called that was not anything. That was just put there. Okay, I called that was BS. This perfectly looking aluminum metal monolith statue, whatever you want to call it, sitting in the middle of the desert. It's not crop circles, guys. This ain't a work of art.
I don't know about that. I mean, how did it get there? What's it doing right there in the middle of the desert? There's so many questions, and now also so many questions of what happened to it. So it's actually becoming a meme. Did you know that? I'm really into memes apparently because I've mentioned it twice already. But my one of my cousins, put on his Facebook, look what showed up at my son's basketball game, and it was the monolith in the middle of the court. So people are having fun with this, but it still is very confusing. How did it get there, and where did it go?
I think the best meme that came up from this whole monolith story was from Southwest Airlines. They owned it. Whoever their social media team was, they went on Twitter. They showed a picture of the monolith. And if you've ever flown Southwest, you know how their seating alignment goes when they call you to stand in line. You have
Yes.
1 through 5 goes to the left of this bar, and 6 through 10 is to the right of it. So they put 21 to 25 on the left, 16 to 20 on the top right, and they said, "Sorry, y'all, we need it back." So
It
Southwest
does look like that.
Airlines,
It looks
genius
exactly
move.
like the Southwest.
It's
Yes.
that's why I think it's a genius move by them. They played off of it. Somebody in a meeting said, "You know what? That looks like one of our things," and they went ahead and they played along with it. And I think it's hysterically funny. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of people had questions about it, but I don't think that this random metal mysterious monolith that was found in the Utah desert, which is now gone, by the way. Somebody picked it up, and no one knows where it is. And meanwhile, Ripley's Believe It or Not, they have offered a $10,000 reward for people who know where the monolith went. So
Yeah, they
there are
want
people
it.
putting out
They
money.
want it for sure.
They want to put it in that Orlando, Believe It or Not, attraction that they have there, which would be hysterical if it was also sponsored by Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, no, there's just so many questions, but I think it was kind of the lightheartedness we needed right now. So whoever put it there, thanks for the intrigue and mystery of it all, and whoever took it, well, enjoy, I guess.
Enjoy it in your backyard. Someone's going to notice it. You don't hide a monolith like that. A
No,
metal 6-foot model. It doesn't work. Also, I've never said monolith so much in my life or in one episode. So, monolith.
monolith. It could be, second place word of the year.
It's a verb. It's a noun. It's an adjective. It is monolith.
It's everything. It's everything. So, quick question: are you a fan of Elon Musk?
No. No, he's a
No.
little too weird for my taste. He's a little too out there. And then I like a little bit of personality, but he's a bit of just strange. So Elon Musk, who's the other guy? Virgin Airlines.
Yes, I know
You
who
know
you're
who I'm
thinking
talking
about.
about.
Yes,
Bronson.
yes, yes, yes.
He's a little too out there for me as well. My opinion doesn't matter because he's got more money than Davy Crockett. So do whatever you want. Elon, love you to death, but not really my favorite person in the world. However, I'm not even a big drinker anymore. So this story doesn't relate to me, but I would give it a taste. Go ahead, give me more details.
Yeah, so apparently Elon Musk, I mean, like he doesn't have enough money. Like his fingers are not involved in enough projects between, Tesla and SpaceX and all the other ventures that he's got going. So apparently he wants to get into tequila as well. So he tweeted back in April on April Fool's Day, apparently that he was going to create a tequila and call it Teslaquila. Am I saying this right? Teslaquila. And apparently the tequila industry nixed that pretty quickly.
See, did they give a
Didn't
reason
realize
why?
that there were all of these regulations. The Tequila Regulatory Council, the CRT, regulates and authorizes all the processes related to the manufacture, consumption, and trade of tequila. And they said, hold on, Elon Musk, you cannot use the name Teslaquila. So I guess it's too close to the word tequila, and tequila can only be used, I guess, how champagne, if it's It's not champagne unless it's from that region of France. Otherwise, it's, bubbly or whatever you call
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Prosecco. I don't know. So basically the same thing here with tequila. The regulation said, nope, you can't use the name. It's not from I
It
guess
doesn't
the
follow those
tequila
guidelines.
area of
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah. I didn't know there were such stringent rules on tequila. So I mean, it'll come back out. They'll put a different name on it. They'll still make some money on it. I'd give it a try, mainly in a margarita. But I didn't know there were that many rules and regulations. Actually, to be honest with you, I knew three things about tequila. One, it does a big mess of a thing to your body and your system when you're drinking it. Two, The Rock has his own brand as well. And three,
Really? Going to have, Tesla is going to have their unique stamp put on this, right? So the
sure.
bottle, which we can put, on the show notes, it's pretty. It looks like a lightning strike. It says Tesla. It looks like something that I know people will buy liquor and save the bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a save-worthy bottle. So,
Mm-hmm.
just another thing Elon Musk is putting a stamp on and making money off of. But just curious if anybody's tried this Tesla tequila, not Teslaquila, because that name is not allowed.
Not allowed.
Tesla tequila.
Well, can you? I don't think you can try it yet. It's not out, right?
Is it not out yet?
I thought. I mean, they don't have a name for it, so it's not technically. I don't think it's out. But I think if it's not, it will eventually be there. I don't. Again, I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to buy tequila. Is not one of those things I have in stock at home. I have
Oh, we do.
vodka. Says the woman
We
who
make
drinks a glass of wine
margaritas.
during
You
this.
always have to have margaritas available.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, you have to have margaritas. I get mine on the outside. It's
There
like
you go.
when I'm getting gourmet coffee, I get it on the outside of prison, not the inside. I'm going out for
Oh
my
no.
tequila.
We can make a mean margarita, so yeah.
Well, maybe once the word of the year is over, we can have a margarita together.
There we go. I know.
Do we have any more stories?
No, but
Okay,
so I want to play a little game.
we
I
got
don't know
two
if you're
minutes to play the
you're up
game.
for a game.
Let's go for it.
So this game is called Florida or Russia.
Mm.
And I'm going to read you a headline and I want you to guess. Are we talking about Florida? Are we talking about Russia? Where did this story take place? Uh, might be harder than you think, Robert. Let me see. I'm going to pull
And
this
I'm a
up here
Florida guy,
with
so I think I can pinpoint which ones are in here. And full disclosure, I have seen the headlines, but I have read them once. I did not read any of the stories, so I don't know the correct answer to these. These are
No,
blind
you just
guesses.
read the headlines.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Man blames horse for home break-in.
Oh, that's Russia.
Do you think?
It's
They have
gotta be.
horses in Florida.
They do, but they're only in very specific areas. If it was man blames alligator, man blames iguana, anything along those lines, I would guess Florida. But I'm probably gonna stick with my guns and say Russia.
You know what? I hate to say it, you're wrong. It's a Florida story.
Oh, damn you! Where in
Yeah.
Florida? Give me the city.
I'm looking here. It's not pulling up right now, but it's why is this not pulling up? But yes, so apparently this guy, is blaming this home break-in on a horse, which
Central Florida.
it definitely does sound like something that would be done in Russia. What about this one?
Okay.
An MMA fighter, a female 135-pound MMA fighter, takes down a 530-pound man. Is that Florida or Russia?
500-pound man.
530-pound man.
I'm gonna say not only did the female MMA fighter give it away, but also there are 530-pound men in Florida as well. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Man,
And I'm
you're
calling
0 for 2. 0 for 2,
you,
Robert.
damn
This
you. North
one's a
Florida
story out of
fails me.
Russia. It's a pretty bizarre sports moment. It's female MMA star Darina Mazdyak defeated 530-pound YouTuber Grigory Kristakov. I'm not probably pronouncing that
That's all
exactly
right.
the right way, but this was a
Tesla,
fight in
tequila,
Russia.
Kristakov, whatever.
She was 135 pounds, professional fighter, and I guess this blogger decided to fight her. He has 120,000 subscribers on YouTube. Guess how long the fight lasted?
About 30 seconds.
90 seconds. 90
Ah.
seconds. So she definitely went on the attack. We'll have the link to the video if you wanna see. It's pretty interesting. So
right.
That's just a little fun game. Wanted
Give me
to try
another
out
one. Let me
play.
break the tie. Let me see
Maybe
if
we
I
can
can
do it again in the future.
Let me see if I can get in on the win column. Give me one more.
Okay, one more. Let's see. 2 men take turns tasing themselves with a taser, handheld taser, tasing themselves.
You know what? I'm going to call Florida on this one too.
You know what, Robert? You are 0 for 3, brother.
All right, well, that's the episode for this week, everyone. We appreciate you listening. Is it really Russia?
It's a Russian story. Too much vodka.
Oh, I wish not enough vodka on my end, apparently. But all right, so that's a Russian story. Give me a little bit of background on that.
Just 2 men sitting at a table get drunk on vodka and decide to tase themselves. So it's pretty interesting little video on Reddit. So we can post all of these for those that are interested in watching.
I feel like if the vodka aspect was in the headline, then I would have leaned towards Russia.
Exactly.
I would have probably gone
trick you up a little bit.
Well, that was a fun game. I suck at it, but that was a fun game. We'll do some more, maybe, Ohio or, I don't know, Ukraine or something like that.
Texas or New York City. Let's do that.
Well, those are 2 completely different worlds. You know that. But, all right, well, good to talk with you. Glad that the Thanksgiving is over. Hopefully your digested gut has had its time to process everything. And hopefully. We will see you guys again next week. Like us, rate us, subscribe, and tell your friends. We appreciate it. Get those listens up, help spread the show, and talk to you again in a week. Sarah, see ya.
Yep. Happy holidays.